Story 1, the Wednesday I learned what loyalty means. So this is the story about how my boyfriend and my best friend tried to make me feel crazy and accidentally made themselves look like the dumbest people alive. I was 16, my parents switched weeks, and on my dad's week, I basically live in a basement apartment with a microwave and too much freedom. My boyfriend at the time was Mason. My best friend since middle school was Taryn. They hated each other in public and liked each other in private, which I found out on a Wednesday. That morning, I woke up sick, not pretend sick. I had the kind of sore throat that makes water feel like betrayal. I texted both of them because they usually walk me to bio. No answer. I figured they were in a quiz or something. Second period goes by, still nothing. I nap, wake up, and see that our group chat has 25 new messages from everyone except the 2 people who always reply first. After school, I decide to pick up soup from the deli by Taryn's house because they do the broth right. I text her I'm nearby. No answer. I know her mom never locks the side gate, so I plan to drop off her charger I borrowed and go home. I walk down the driveway and hear music from her room, the kind she pretends she hates but knows every word to. I knock. Nothing. I try the door. Unlocked. I wish I could say I kicked it open like a movie, but the truth is I pushed it with one finger because my hand already knew. I see Mason's hoodie on the floor next to her cheer bag. I see 2 water bottles like they were having a meeting about hydration. I look up and they both freeze like mannequins that forgot to be made of plastic. Mason starts talking first. He says it is not what it looks like, which is always what it looks like. Taryn pulls a blanket up to her chin like she is starring in a hospital show. I do not cry. I do not yell. I walk over, pick up Mason's phone from the nightstand, and open it with the code I picked up by accident a month ago when he thought I was not paying attention. I click the messages with Taryn. There is a whole museum. Plans around my shifts. Screenshots of my texts with commentary. Pictures I did not want to see. A note from 2 weeks ago that says she is being annoying. Come now. I feel my face go completely calm. It is nice how your body protects you by turning off the lights. I toss the phone on the bed and tell them both they could have just told me and saved me the gas money. Taryn says she was going to. She just wanted to make sure it was real before she ruined my life. That line is so rehearsed it makes me laugh out loud. Mason says I am overreacting, like the situation is a mosquito and not a house fire. I take my charger, leave the room, and hear them both talking over each other behind me like they are auditioning for who gets to be the victim. On the way home, I stop at the deli anyway because being betrayed does not mean I am not hungry. The cashier gives me extra bread because I look like a person who needs one small thing to be easy. By the time I get to my dad's, there are 6 missed calls and a paragraph from Mason that starts with, "If you loved me, you would listen." I silence my phone. I watch a cooking show. The next day at school, Taryn gets to student council early and starts her press tour. She tells people I broke into her house. She tells people I hit her. She shows a picture of a bruise on her shoulder like I did it, except anyone with eyes can tell it is a seatbelt mark. One girl asks me if we are okay, like this is just a little thunder and not a storm. I say we are done and the sky stays exactly the same. Here is the part that people always ask about. Did I expose them? Did I post the screenshots? Did I stand on a table and give a speech? I did not. I sent 4 screenshots to myself to remember I was not crazy. I blocked Mason. I texted Taryn one sentence, "You cannot call this love and also call it a secret." She sends back for voice notes that I do not listen to. For a while, the hallway gets weird. Some people avoid me because they do not want to get drafted. Some people tell me I am brave and then go sit with Taryn because their costumes are already picked out. Mason tries to send me flowers to class. I hand them to the teacher. She puts them in the office and then forgets to give them back. Small justice. 2 weeks later, Mason and Taryn are public. They sit at our table like a display. They do not look happy. They look busy. They start fighting in whispers, the kind where you smile and your eyes do not. By winter break, they are over, because of course they are. I do not take either of them back. I do not let them make me the soft landing. I take my soup habit and my new quiet and I make those my routine. Story number 2. My dad remarried in May and moved us into a house that smelled like new paint and lemon wipes. His wife, Carla, came with a label maker and a calendar full of ideas about who I should be by Friday. She taped rules to the fridge like they were inspirational quotes. No phone in bedrooms after 9, dishes within 30 minutes, gratitude journal to be checked every Sunday. I can follow rules. I cannot live inside them. The first thing she did was put labels on my drawers, shirts, socks, journals. The label on journals made me feel like a specimen. I peeled it off when she left and stuck it on the bottom of the drawer. She found it the next day and relabeled it writing. She said, "Words are powerful." I said, "So is privacy." She smiled like I had told a joke wrong. She does not say my mom's name. She says, "Your mother," like a diagnosis, and my dad asks for peace like it is a dish we can keep warm. One afternoon, I come home and my bracelet is gone. It is a thin silver chain with a tiny book charm my mom gave me when I turned 15. It lives in a dish by my bed and makes me feel like myself when the day is loud. I ask Carla if she has seen it. She says no, then wears it at dinner like it grew on her wrist. I say, "That is mine." She says, "It was on the kitchen counter." I am keeping it safe. My dad clears his throat and says maybe we can share. I feel my face go blank in self-defense. I start spending more nights at my mom's where the couch sags and nobody locks the pantry. Carla emails my English teacher to ask for more structured expectations for my writing and CCS the vice principal. My teacher pulls me aside and says my essays are fine and she is sorry I am living in a committee meeting. I say it is okay. It is not. The night it breaks is small. I come home to find my drawing stacked neatly in the trash can, not crumpled, just placed. The bracelet sits on top with the clasp open like a mouth. Carla says, "You left the sketches all over." I assume they were drafts. I say, "They are mine." She says, "Artists must learn to let go." I say, "So must stepmothers." She says, "Watch your tone." My dad says, "Everyone take a breath." I take a bag instead. I go to my mom's and sleep with the bracelet on until the charms leave marks on my wrist. I do not go back for a week. My dad texts me that Carla is trying and I should try too. I send back, "I am not a project." He sends a thumbs up, which is worse than a speech. When I finally walk in, there is a new chart on the fridge. Household tech policy. Devices can be shut off per person at her discretion. It is written in marker like a teacher's dream. I do my homework in silence. Carla asks why I got home at 12 when school ends at 3:20. I say I stayed after to ask a question. She asks which teacher. I tell her. The next day, that teacher asks if everything is okay at home in the voice people use when they have already heard it is not. 2 days later, she installed a camera over the front door for packages. Then she circled the timestamp of me coming home at 4:07 in red pen and asked for an itinerary. I gave it. She filed it under a magnet labeled accountability. She locked the pantry after 10. I kept granola bars in my backpack. At dinner, she wanted one win and one challenge. My win was chemistry. My challenge was not confusing compliance with care. One Saturday, my mom came by to drop off a book I needed and Carla met her on the porch like a receptionist. Later, my mom texted me that she understands why the bracelet stays on now. She said, "You do not have to be brave in rooms that do not make space for you." I screenshotted that and keep it in a favorites album on my phone for the nights the house tries to teach me a lesson I did not sign up to learn. I wish I had a dramatic ending for you, like I threw the bracelet in the sink and walked out forever. The truth is I live into houses and belong to one. I keep my drawings at my mom's now. I keep the bracelet on my wrist. When Carla says, "We are building character," I say, "I am not your construction site." She smiles like I am a clever little problem. That might be the closest thing to winning I will get here. Story number 3. Cheer tryouts are supposed to be loud and fair. You train, you show up. The list goes up, and then you either cry in the bathroom or you try not to look too happy in front of people who are crying in the bathroom. My friend Riley and I trained together all summer. She copied my drills and called it accountability. I told myself iron sharpens iron and ignored the part of my brain that said she was sharpening a knife, not a skill. The night before tryouts, she came over to study because that is what we call scrolling through videos of elite routines and pretending it is research. She brought a bag of gummies labeled Super Fruit Energy. I ate 2. They tasted like a field trip. I slept fine, woke up steady, and got to the gym early enough to tape my ankles twice just to be sure. 20 minutes into warm-ups, my head felt like a balloon that had been inflated past the line where balloons like to live. It was not dramatic. It was a tilt. My hands were a second behind my eyes. I told myself it was nerves and drank water like it was a spell. Coach called my name. I hit my first pass because muscle memory loves me. On my second pass, my feet landed a half-inch off where the floor expected them. I corrected and smiled like my face belonged to a person who was not worried. After interviews, Coach put a hand on my shoulder and asked if I was okay. I said I was just tired. She said, "Do not come back on anything. I would rather you be safe than perfect." I nodded and went to stretch. Riley floated through her tryout like a highlight reel. She took the last spot in line for jumps, which is the smart place if you want to leave a picture in judges' heads. At lunch, my hands still shook. I looked up the gummy brand. They were not fruit snacks. They were CBD with caffeine and some other words I had to Google. I called Riley. She did not answer. I texted her what was in the bag. She sent me a heart and relaxed. I went to the nurse with the wrapper. She said I was not making it up and handed me saltines like the past. I sat on the paper bed and listened to my pulse count to a number I did not like. The list went up at 3. Riley made varsity. I made junior. I did not break anything. I sat on the bench in the back hallway and let my stomach feel like it had opened a trapdoor. Riley found me and said, maybe this is better. Less pressure. I told her about the gummies. She said I should read labels. I said I trusted a friend. She said, lesson learned, like she was my teacher and not the reason I needed the lesson. I told Coach. She asked for proof. I showed her the wrapper and the timestamp on Riley's story from the night before where she filmed us studying with the bag in the frame. Coach sighed and said this was messy and the code of conduct does not cover being careless in your best friend's house. She benched Riley one practice for nutrition. Riley posted a black screen about women supporting women and got 200 comments about haters. None of that moved the list. The fallout was quiet. People shifted down the mat. I stared at the mirror and counted to 8 the way Coach taught us. I refused to shrink. Our first junior game was away. The bus smelled like hairspray and nerves. I nailed the pass that tilted at tryouts, and when my feet hit, the world lined up like a drawer closing. After, our captain, who does not like drama, squeezed my shoulder once and said, that looked right. It was the nicest sentence I had heard in a month because she only says what she means. 2 weeks later, the trainer found a similar gummy bag in Riley's tote. Coach benched her one game for nutrition. She posted about resilience. I muted her and kept landing. People always ask if I will try for varsity again. I do not owe anyone an answer. Maybe I will. Maybe I will not. What I know is that the list on the wall is not the whole story. Sometimes the win is getting your air back without asking permission. Story number 4. My cousin Ivy loves attention like it is air, and she is always at altitude. Our moms decided we should bond at the mall because nothing says healing a childhood rivalry like fluorescent lights and a pretzel stand. Ivy tried on a jacket that cost rent and asked me to take her picture while she spun. I said it looked good and that I would wait for a sale. She pouted and slid it back onto the rack with a sigh you could hear 3 stores away. We hit 2 more shops. I bought socks. She bought a lip gloss that claimed to be a lifestyle. We were heading to shoes when a security guard tapped my shoulder and said the manager wanted to see me. Ivy's face did sympathy like she had practiced in a mirror. In the office, the manager set the jacket on the table and said I had walked out in it. I said I did not. Ivy jumped in and said she would pay to make this go away because family first. I asked to see footage. They did not want to, but you can get a lot by being calm and not crying. We watched me moving through racks, holding my hoodie. In one frame, the jacket was draped over my arm. I felt the air change in the tiny room. I asked to rewind earlier. There, Ivy, sliding the sleeve into my elbow crease when I bent to pick up my bag. The frame caught half her hand and all of her intention. The manager looked at Ivy. Ivy said it was a joke. Security did not laugh. They let me go. They banned her for 90 days. She cried in the parking lot and texted our moms that this was a misunderstanding and I had overreacted. My phone buzzed like a hive. I sent the still frame to the family group chat and turned off notifications. Ivy posted a story with a Bible verse about forgiveness. I blocked her. 2 days later, a package showed up at my door with a jacket in it and a note. For you, I am sorry. I took it back to the store because I do not want gifts that come with a script. The cashier asked if I was the girl from The Office. I said yes. She said the cameras have saved a lot of people and ruined a few. I said sometimes they just told the truth no one wanted to say out loud. The family fallout was theater. My aunt said I made Ivy look like a criminal. My mom said girls are not corporations and hung up. At Sunday dinner, my grandmother asked why I embarrassed the family. I said I did not steal a jacket. Ivy said she was trying to help. The potatoes went around anyway. A week later, Ivy posted a haul with a different jacket and a caption about bouncing back. I blocked her. She still texts party links and we are good, right? I do not reply. Here is what nobody tells you about being right. It does not change the room. People keep loving who they love. The mall still sells the jacket. Security still watches the door like it is a story with a moral. I kept the printed still frame in a folder with my report cards. Not because I plan to ruin Thanksgiving with a PowerPoint, but because it reminds me I am not sensitive. I am paying attention. The last time I saw Ivy, we were both grabbing coffee before school. She said I looked tired. I said I am tired of being assigned a role. She said, "You love drama." I said, "I love truth," and left her standing in line with her performance face on. Maybe that is petty. Maybe it is just finally choosing myself. Later, when the ban lifted, Ivy invited me back to the mall like nothing happened. I said I had a different plan. It was not revenge. It was a boundary. Sometimes the only grown-up in the room is the kid who stops the scene. Today,